Yes,
Frank, is my screen visible?
yes, visible.
Okay, thank you. So, after one long month, we are finally back with the presentation in the source content team. And today I'm starting with a new topic that is a programming language. And you all know this language as Java. So, in the introduction part, we'll first see what exactly is Java and what was the main reason of inventing Java and who was the person who invented Java. So, Java was created by James Gosselin and his team at Sun's Microsystem in 1995. So, James Gosselin is also known as the father of the Java. And basically, Java was actually not a programming language when it was earlier introduced during the time when it was being created. It was actually a project that was made by James Gosselin and his friends. And later on, that particular project which James Gosselin and his friends made, that was later on turned into a programming language, which we now known as Java. So the language was initially developed as a part of a project to create a platform independent language for consumers electronics such as set-top boxes. The project initially called Oak was later renamed as Java after discovering that the name Oak was already in use. So this is also one of the fact that earlier, the same programming language which we know today as Java was known as Oak, but later on that was removed because it was being used by some other discovery and it was actually patented. That's why later on the name Oak was removed and Java was kept because James Gosselin used to drink coffee a lot. That's why he even introduced the symbol of coffee as the symbol of Java thereon. So, now let's move on to the overview section. So, what exactly Java means? So, Java is a versatile platform independent programming language known for its write once, run anywhere capabilities. It emphasizes object oriented principles, providing robust security, rich standard libraries, and built in multi threading support. Widely used in web, mobile, and enterprises application. Java is favored for its simplicity, scalability, and strong community support. So, firstly, let us understand what exactly platform independent programming language means. So, like other programming language, Java is a platform independent programming language. That means that the program created in a particular system can be run anywhere on any particular system without any problem, which was a issue in some of the programming languages earlier that the particular programming system and the particular program that was developed used to run on that particular system only, and we need certain other sort of programming software to run that same program into some other system. So in this particular problem was actually removed in Java because the program which we used to write in Java can easily be run on any other programming languages and other platform even. So that was why it is a platform independent language. And moreover, Java used certain object-oriented programming principle that made it much easier to use. Moreover, there were several security features that were being provided. There are standard libraries, which we now known as the framework, which is being used to make
Okay,
this
Suresh,
particular language
wait a
so
minute.
much.
Guys, you ask your doubt
Okay.
after the session of Suresh. Like after the Suresh complete his over presentation, after that 5 minutes will be allocated and you ask doubt at that time. Suresh, continue.
Okay. So now this was the overall overview part that we have seen so far. Now let's move on to some interesting. The first interesting fact was that Java was initially called as Oak, which we discussed in the introduction part as well. And this particular feature in Java was actually, this particular name of Oak is a very funny concept that James Gosselin and his team named his project that they were creating during a research time. and they named as Oak. But later on, they thought that they will be introducing this particular project into the market. But later on, they came to know that this particular name was already patented. So thereon, they decided to change the name, and later they renamed Java as they were inspired by Java Coffee. Java mascot. The Java mascot is a cute a coffee cup inspired character named Duke, which was created by one of the original Java developer, Joe Palrang. So the mascot of the Java that is a symbol that using to introduce and represent Java. So it is a cup in which there is a small leaf. So this particular mascot was actually developed by one of the friends of James Gosselin, that was Joe Palbrine, and he introduced this particular thing. And the third one is Java is everywhere. Now, what exactly Java is everywhere means? So, Java is actually being used over 3 billion devices worldwide, including computer systems, smartphones, game consoles, and even spacecraft. And this particular language is very, very easy to learn and understand and it is very simple. And moreover, we can perform any sort of task with the help of this language very easily. So, definitely we must learn this particular language if we get some sort of time. So now what are the key uses of Java? So Java is used as an off to build an enterprise application, Android development, web application, embedded systems, scientific and research applications. These are the certain key uses by which we can use Java. We can easily build an Android app using Java. Java Kotlin is being used over there. Web applications can be built using Java using the Spring framework and the Spring Boot concept. Moreover, several research application and scientific application can even be developed by the help of Java because it is having a very and moreover a very effective library which help us to create easy applications in a much easier fashion, and moreover the application created using Java are very effective. Now, what are the features of Java? So, because each and every programming language has certain sort of features, and similarly, Java is having certain features that make it very useful for an individual to learn this particular language. So, the first system is platform independent. That is, write once, run anywhere. That means that we need to write a program on a particular system, and we can run that same program on any system without any fault or any sort of mishappening. Moreover, the second point is that Java emphasizes an object-oriented concept, that is, it improves principle, which is one of the key reason why Java is one of the successful language nowadays. Robust and security. Strong memory management and security features are there within the Java language, which makes it quite useful to the users who are using it. Moreover, multi-threading is being there used in Java that supports concurrent programming. A concurrent programming is a sort of programming in which one program executes after another program without any fault. And the fifth one is the high performance, that is through just-in-time compilation. That is the output that is produced using Java is very fast as it is high performance like just-in-time compilation process. Now let's move on to the Java architecture. So now basically there are three types of Java architectures that we need to know. The first one is JRE, that is Java Runtime Environment, JVM, Java Virtual Machine, and JDK, that is Java Development Tool. Now, these three are the basic Java architectures that an individual must know. And moreover, the most useful Java architecture that we'll be seeing is that JVM and JDK, because JVM is a Java virtual machine which helps in the which actually controls all the working process of Java program. And moreover, Java development kit help us to use various sort of libraries, frameworks that makes it quite useful for the user to learn it. Now, Java syntax and structure. So the basic structure of a Java program is class declaration, method, main method, and an example of a simple Java program. So, we'll be discussing about the entire structure and syntax of the Java along with the programming languages in the upcoming sessions as well. And there will be we'll be seeing how exactly we can write programs using Java. And when we'll continue this particular session of this programming language, that is Java, we'll be creating some sort of web applications as well by the help of the Java programming language. So that will help us to deeply understand this particular language in a much easier fashion. Now, what data types and variables? Java actually has a certain sort of data types. That is, one is the primitive data type. That is integer, float, character, double, boolean, etc. are the some sort of data types that we'll encounter in later on when we'll study about these particular topics in detail in the upcoming weeks. Reference type objects are there. Variable declaration and initialization is another method that we can declare a method variable, and we can even initialize a variable by a particular value that can be used in the program later on. So these are the quite useful features that we get in Java. Now, operators in Java means Java has a variety of operators that we can use to perform various mathematical calculations. It includes arithmetic operators, relational operators, logical, bitwise operators that we'll be discussing in the upcoming weeks, because this particular presentation of today's is regarding the introductory part of the Java only. So we are not studying about a particular operators or variable data types in detail, but we'll be discussing it in the upcoming week as well. So every Saturday you need to stay tuned and you must attend the session so that you can learn about the same language in detail. Now, what are the control statements? So, control statements includes if statement, else statement, switch statement. These are the very useful statements that are very frequently used during programming purpose, where if a programmer is writing code for a particular program. Loop statements includes for loop, while loop, and do while loop. And most probably, the most important part of the loop is the for loop and the while loop, because these two loops are used most often during the programming purposes. Branching statements like continue and return are even comes under the conditional statements, control statements. And regarding the branching statements, I think break and return. These are the two most frequently used the branching statements that we'll be seeing in the programming concept. Now let's move on to the classes and objects. So what exactly class means and what exactly a class is. So a class is a blueprint or a template for creating object. It defines a data type by bundling data and methods that operates on the data into a single unit. So actually class is just like a blueprint or a template in which objects are being created. Like we create a class, and on the basis of the class we create the objects. That is as it is written over there, that by bundling the data and the methods that operates on the data into a single unit. That is, by the help of classes and object, we bundle the data and methods into a single unit. Whereas object is an instance of a class. When a class is defined, no memory is allocated until an object of the class is created. Now, both classes and objects have a relationship with each other, and that is when a class is defined, that particular class is not allocated any sort of memory. But until we create an object, once the object of the class is created, a separate memory is being allocated to a class where the entire content of the class is stored. So this is why classes and objects, these two are the one of the key concepts in Java, and we'll be seeing it in the upcoming as well. Now let's move on to the object-oriented programming in Java. So object-oriented programming is a programming paradigm based on the concept of objects, which can contain data and code. Data in the form of fields, often known as attributes or properties, and code in the form of procedures, often known as methods. Java is fundamentally an object-oriented programming, and it incorporates the core principle of OOPs. So, well, as in the beginning, also during the introductory part, I mentioned that one of the key reasons why Java is very popular nowadays is the use of object-oriented programming. because object-oriented programming helps a user a lot during uh, any sort of application development or programming purposes. And that is why this particular concept of object-oriented programming is even followed in the programming languages like Java, because it is very useful for an individual. Now, in the object-oriented programming, let's move on to the first part that comes in the OOPS, that is encapsulation. So, encapsulation is a practice of wrapping the data, variables, and codes together into a single unit. In Java, encapsulation is implemented using access modifiers like public, private, protected to restrict access to the inner working of the class, exposing only what is necessary to method. So, what exactly encapsulation means? So encapsulation is actually a method in which different types of data are wrapped together. Now, wrapping is just a similar concept like we all know about aluminum foils. And in the aluminum foil, we actually place any sort of chapati or whatever the thing stuff we want to keep. And then we wrap that thing into a single unit. That is, there in that aluminum foil, we keep at least 2 to 3 chapatis and then we wrap it. And for a user, it will seem to be a single unit, but within that particular wrapped aluminum foil, there will be several sort of things. So encapsulation is related to hiding and abstracting data uh, related to the method, and encapsulation is actually implemented using methods like public, private, and protected, and to restrict access to inner working of a class. Now let's move on to this part. Actually, inheritance allows a new class, that is a subclass, to inherit the properties and behavior, that is fields and methods of an existing class, that is a superclass. This promotes code reusability and establish a natural hierarchy between classes. So, well, inheritance is like inheriting the property. And as you all can see, the definition says that when one subclass inherits the properties of the other superclass, this is known as inheritance. So, well, the easiest example to understand inheritance is like generally every family has a younger brother or sister who is actually working on some sort of companies, or who is in a government job. So every Indian parent says that you must actually acquire some of the properties of your brother much more stronger and much more capable than you. Like you must think how, you must see how exactly he studies, what is his daily routine. You must follow that and inculcate that his or her activities in your lifestyle, so that you can even get success. Similarly, inheritance is the same, in which a subclass is inheriting the properties of some superclass, so that the entire code reusability can be used. Code reusability means once a code is being written, there is no need to rewrite the code again. This not only saves the time of the programmers, but also the memory, which is one of the key concepts of object-oriented programming. Now, the third one is the polymorphism. So, polymorphism allows object to be treated as an instance to their parents rather than their actual classes. The actually polymorphism is of two types: compiler time, that is compile time, that is method overloading multiple methods with the same name but different parameters within the same class. The second one is the runtime, that is method overriding. A subclass provides a specific implementation of a method that is already defined in its superclass. So, well, polymorphism, see, the definition over here is a complicated one, but to understand this particular part of OOPS, we can, when a subclass acquires the property of two or more superclasses, then we can say that polymorphism is a concept that is based on that. And moreover, polymorphism is actually of two types, that is compile time, that is method overloading, and the runtime, that is method overriding. And we'll be seeing the same method of polymorphism in the upcoming sessions as well. Now the fourth and the last one is abstraction. Abstractions involve hiding the complex implementation details of a system and exposing only the essential features. Java achieves abstractions through abstract classes, a class that cannot be instantiated and may contains abstract method. Methods without a body is an abstract method, and that's a class must implement. Whereas the second method by which we can implement abstraction is by interfaces. A contract that a class can implement interfaces can contain abstract methods that the implementing class must define. So now the easiest method to understand abstraction is like whenever we see a car, we actually see the outer part of the car. We are not seeing the how exactly the entire working mechanism of the car is being working, where exactly the engine is fitting, how exactly the AC vents are being fitted, how exactly the brake system works. Like we are only concerned with the physical facilities that are being provided in the car. We are not trying to think how exactly the inner things or within the car will be working. This is like abstraction, like involving only those information that is revealing only those information to the user that is useful to the user, and hiding the rest other stuff that is being not essential to the user is known as abstraction. So now in the conclusion part of the object-oriented programming, we come to know that Java OOPS promotes code organization, reusability, and scalability, making it easier to manage large software projects by understanding and applying these concepts. Developers can build robust, maintainable applications that are easier to extend and modify. So, well, this was from all from my side related to the introductory part. Well, if you have any doubt, then you can definitely ask for me.
Guys, if you have any doubt, then ask.
No, I don't have.
Okay.
Okay.
So give me a second to start my presentation.
Okay.
My screen is visible to all. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, so in my previous session, firstly, I will brief that when the source content is start. After that, firstly, I will cover the topic that is GitHub. I will cover in the span of 12 sessions, and I cover the basic portion of the GitHub, because basic thing of DevOps is GitHub, and Git is the main part where developers interact with their codes and update their codes. Okay, so if someone's have to work on project, then he or she must be on GitHub to collaborate for that project. Okay, so so in previous 4 sessions, I'll start the Docker part, and in this session I will summarize whatever I explain in those sessions also. But here I will take only 2 to 5 minutes per slide. If you go on my previous the videos are uploaded on YouTube, if you want to see the complete details of a particular presentation, because here I have covered in this presentation I have 45 slides. But if you go individual like Docker part 1, here only 10 to 5 slides, and there I will explain in detail much. Okay, so here I will just wake up I will just summarize, give a summary of concept whatever I tell previously. So just start. So introduction to Docker. So firstly, what is Docker? Docker is used to store a multiple services. Like if you are a developer and in your laptop, you have in your laptop, you want to run multiple web services. Like if you want to interact with the databases, if you want to interact with the APIs, and simultaneously these all processes are running. And like I am a developer, I have to deploy two apps. Then these two apps are deployed in a particular container, and these container provides the process that doesn't affect each other. Okay, so introduction to develop Docker. Some key features of Docker. With the help of Docker, we can simply launch your application inside a container. Containers is basically like a box where we deploy our application, and that box where inside the process are continuously in running phase, not in the static phase. Like the interaction between databases and the user interface front end is ongoing, and these process is working simultaneously, like working with backend code, and backend code interact with your database, then the backend code response, like browser response to client side. So these all processes are simultaneously. And if you have made like particular web services and microservices, so the container concept is must use. So with the help of Docker, we can simply launch your application inside the container. If you want to run multiple application run simultaneously, Docker is useful. I tell previously that if you want to run multiple application, then Docker container is a useful thing. Each container are based on a specific image. So what is image? Image is basically a set of files, but not completely set of files. When I will go I move forward, then a slide comes where I explain Docker images. But I will give you a brief, like small introduction of images. What is Docker image? So Docker image is based on Docker files. Okay, but these images are read-only images. Okay, you can't modify it. If you have to modify it, then you have to use your container, because each container of Docker is based on their image. And in these images, not only like you see a profile image, like these images are different from that. It is a set of files and read-only files. And here the image is divided into FS layers, like file system layers. Inside image, not only a single propagation, a single protocol, but here also a like FS layers are divided. Something like if I want to explain in a particular image in a set of files, like WordPress and PHP, those two softwares like are installed. So if you convert into the Docker image, then two layers are created, and in the first layer a PHP is there, and in the second layer WordPress is there. Like suppose if I want to use only particular section of that image, then I take that image only particular section. I don't use the WordPress. Okay, so doesn't very much. I explain the images concept in detail also in my video. If you want in detail, then go with the video. Okay, otherwise like in the next slide I will also cover it. So Docker Hub, like if you actually you not if you not go with move with me on Git, then this Docker Hub portion little problematic to you, because like Git to GitHub and like Docker to Docker Hub, this paradigm is same. Like Git, where you can store your repository, your local repository. Git is used to store local repository, but GitHub is a public repository where you post your repository. Repository is nothing but your module, your folder, in the simple words. Okay, so here Docker Hub, like my containers and my images, like my custom images which I created on my desktop, which is used in my containers. If I want like that, these images are also to use useful for others. So just I post this image into the Docker Hub. So basically, hub like Docker Hub and GitHub, these are the public portions. Docker Hub, we also call that is the Docker registry part. Okay, so we store our Docker repository into the Docker registry. That is the Docker Hub. Okay, we can also create images using Docker files. I tell you that what is Docker images is based on Docker files. So here Docker versus virtual machines. So here is a new concept, virtual machine. I ask you, does anyone of you go through the concept of virtual machine? Anyone little bit know about the virtual machines? Guys, anyone know about virtual machines? Actually, this is my next slide is based on virtual machines. So doesn't worry.
No, we exactly don't know.
Okay, so I start. So okay, so Docker versus virtual machine. So Docker I explain next to virtual machine. Firstly, I explain what is virtual machine. Virtual machine is basically a virtual machine that is installed on your laptop. Like this is the HP laptop, and here a operating system that is Windows. Okay, but if you want to work on a Mac OS operating system or a Ubuntu operating system or a Linux operating system, different versions of Linux, Kali Linux, so these are called virtual machines. If like in my particular, this is a physical server and here is a host operating system that is Windows, but I want to use a Linux operating system in my laptop. Then I use particularly, give me a second. Okay, yes. So, okay. So here, okay. So here you can see basic architecture. So here is a physical server that is our physical body and hardware of my laptop. Host operating server that is a Windows, because Windows is installed Intel Core, that is the software. So hypervisor, with the help of hypervisor, we can install any of the operating system. That operating system is consist that virtual machine is consist of some operating system, like virtual machine 1 consists some operating system, virtual machine 2 consists some operating systems, and here we can install multiple operating systems like with the help of hypervisor. So here I am using VMware workstation for Windows. So here if you want to see like where your operating system, so just firstly here, this is my like Windows. Here you can clearly see this is Windows 11. But if you want to like use Ubuntu, then you see it here. This is also a Ubuntu where I'm using, like if I have to work in Ubuntu, then I also work in Ubuntu. A basic interface. I doesn't have problem with working on this. Okay. So if you want to work, then work with this. Okay. So just give me a second. I think, give me a second. Okay. So just off it from here. Am I audible? Screen is visible to all?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
So here you can see, this is the symbol like VMware workstation. Here, if I click here, so here you can see a Kali Linux is installed and Windows is installed. Ubuntu 64-bit is installed. So if I want to use, then play virtual machine. So if I want to like, I want to use a Mac operating system on my laptop, then I have to install the ISO file of that operating system and use the VMware workstation that as a hypervisor that provides a way to use your virtual machines like Ubuntu, Kali Linux, and all the operating systems. It provides a way where you can use these operating systems on your laptop, but not operating system. These virtual machines also consist of some files. So if I open my presentation here, so, okay. So firstly, I will cover the small portion like what is Docker Compose. With the help of Docker Compose, you can run multiple application using single command. This is the basic concept of Docker Compose. Okay. So Docker virtual machine versus Docker containers. So what is virtual machine? Actually, I provide all these presentations so you can read. And if you go, if you want to go in detail, then you go with the videos. Actually, otherwise you can ask doubt from here. So virtual machine, what? An option to create a server with another operating system which differ from your underlying operating system. I think you clearly understand whatever written in this presentation. An option to create a different server like different operating system with another operating system which different from your underlying operating system. In this underlying operating system is Windows, but I run Ubuntu, that is the part of Linux. So okay, so firstly I will mention that if the time is limit is exceeded, then you join with the same link which I provided in the group. Okay, because I doesn't provide any other link. You join with the same, and I join you on this. Okay. Also, what is the architecture of virtual machine? Virtual machine architecture contains the libraries, the binary files, and the guest operating system, and some application which are running in the virtual machine. Suppose I am opening Ubuntu and there I have deployed some application. So these are the applications, and binary files are also associated with it. Libraries, guest operating system also associated with it. Similarly, we can clear a multiple like 20 to 30 virtual machines, and you think that how these virtual machines are working, like how they get their resources. So they get their resources with my physical server. I allocate a 20 GB of disk space. So okay, here I basically describe about what is virtual machine architecture. So here I explained that two virtual machines, basic architecture of VM. In this is basically we store some extra binary, CPU, RAM, like with the help of hypervisor. I particular give me a second. Okay, so I particular allocate the size of I allocate the 20 GB of space, then that Ubuntu operating system only use my 20 GB of space. Other than that, that operating system will not using. Okay. So with the help of hypervisor, so there are VirtualBox hypervisor, VMware Fusion hypervisor. That hypervisor is used for Mac OS, VMware Workstation for Windows that I use to run my what Ubuntu operating system. Okay, so here are parallels VMware ESXi. So anyone listen about this VMware workstation like hypervisor name? Anyone listen about this? Okay, so I explain you what is ESXi. It provides like it uses by multiple cloud services like Amazon and the many cloud services uses this hypervisor. Like they have a CPU of thousands of MB, like thousands of they have storage of thousands of MBs, millions, whatever that storage. But with the help of VMware ESXi, they don't need a host operating system. They need only a hypervisor, and they provide you a virtual machine. Like if you want to use a virtual machine, like I am sitting here and I want to use a machine that the cloud service that are located, the hardwares are located like Mumbai and many other places. Their servers are there, but they if I like I subscribed I take a subscription from Amazon Cloud, then they provide us a virtual machine that is based as a hypervisor VMware ESXi bare metal hypervisor. Bare metal, if Suyas, I think you know what is bare metal and resilient monitor, because this is our concept of in operating system in the like fourth semester. So bare metal has no meaning. They have no operating system. Bare metal means that they doesn't have an operating system. VMware ESXi provides a way uh, like these virtual machine to use a hypervisor with directly with physical server. Okay, so just I move. How can I use virtual machine? We also we show how the memory utilized by your device to virtual machine using monitor manager. Okay, if this thing I have done, then you can clearly understand what I'm trying to say. Give me a second. Okay, so just here I have opened the VMware workstation firstly. So firstly, if you go with like here task manager, so here you can see nothing like Microsoft PowerPoint task manager, Zoom and all. So these are the things. But if I just open the Ubuntu 64-bit here, so play a virtual machine. Okay. So it will take no 3D support is available. It will take us some amount of time, 10 to 5 seconds to start. Okay. So I can put I think it will take a time, little bit of time. Yes, I think it takes. So I explain the presentation when it install, like it will open, then I will, like it will, I think opening. It will take some time to open. Then I explain how I use a virtual machine using a monitor manager. You can see a particular amount of RAM, which I like 20 GB. I allocate the disk size. So from my memory, these 20 GB are allocated to that operating system, like Ubuntu operating system. But after I am off the power of that operating system, then these allocated memory are being recycled and these are come on from my device. So if I think opening are done. Okay, so here I think not open this time. Give me a second. Actually, it will take a little bit of time to start. So just I move further from my presentation. So here you can see. Uh, yes. So we also suspend VM and we can create a multiple. You can create a multiple clone of that of virtual machine. Also, you can move from one virtual machine to one computer to another. Like I am using a virtual machine, I have to transfer that virtual machine to my friend. So yes, then I transfer it using a VMware. Okay, so using VMware Fusion or others, you can create multiple virtual machines. I tell you what, this is the particular site. If you want to use like if you want to subscribe and you want to use many virtual machines, you don't want any hardware like a CPU in your room, and you want to use virtual machines operating system different locations like remote locations, then you use the VMware Fusion and all. So these DigitalOcean this sites provides many platforms to run their advertisement, and from where the users can take the subscription and use the virtual machine. If you want to go in detail, then read the presentation. Here the presentation is there. Okay, so just I move forward because I have to cover much. So Docker container architecture. So Docker container architecture is simple. In that particular container an application is running. I explain to you what is the Docker container, some binaries and some library files is there. So here you can see there is no operating system. So this is the first difference which you have you see here. Like Docker containers don't contain an operating system. Docker container do also not containing operating system. That is differ from your virtual machines where you have to where you run your applications. But here, like these, like if you go with the virtual machines, then if I allocate a 20 GB of space, then the 20 GB of space is reserved to that operating system. If they are empty, then empty, but the 20 GB is restricted to this operating system. Okay, this voice is you all listen. So the operating system is opening. So just give me a second. So firstly, I have to setting it all. So okay, so if you see that, I think, give me a second. Okay. Okay. So here my operating system is opening. Yes, Mm. Mm. Give me a second. Okay, so virtual disk snap, disk management. Okay. Okay, so this thing, if you want, if you are a Linux user or Mac OS user, then you see the clearly that task manager assigns the particular space. But here, I think in the Windows, this concept is not. Actually, there are two concept of allocation, which I explained to you. Firstly, I will power off this. Okay, so give me a second. Search bin power off, power off. So it will set up. So what I trying to explain in a particular devices, like in, I don't know about Windows, but I know about Mac OS, that here only the task manager allocate the 20 GB of space and you don't want to use. So the space concept is different, like that if you use a particular, like in, there are not a particular allocation of 20 GB. Okay, so there are, if 5 to 10 operating systems are there, so if like first operating system only need a 5 GB of space and I have to allocate a 20 GB space, then that operating system only uses 5 GB and they share their resources to other operating system. So their sharing mechanism is there, and sharing mechanism is much cheaper if you want, to get subscription from Amazon cloud and other cloud services. Then the sharing mechanism system is cheaper than the fixed space mechanism. Okay, so I think the Windows is uses a sharing mechanism, and here Docker container is also using a sharing mechanism. They share their resources between each other. So this is the second difference, like container not contain the operating systems, and the resources which have allocated to containers, these are the sharing bunch. Okay, so just I move forward. Give me a second. So here, like how many resources will be used by 10 containers. So if I allocate the 2G, here only 60 GB of space, then container one is use only 1 GB space. Okay, then not very, container two is needed to to use a 20 GB of space. Then container to use it, container 2 is using that much of space that is required. So these are sharing resources. But some of the conditions where sharing resources is not there, like in the cloud services, that cloud services uh, are of higher price. Okay, so if you go with the sharing resources, then that must be a lower price. So answer is pretty simple. All containers share resources of Docker host. So here a new concept. What is Docker host? Okay, so how Docker is running on different operating system. So firstly, I will skip all the theoretical portion because the time is less for me also. And so if you want to run on your laptop the particular Docker, so you require a Docker desktop, and with the help of Docker desktop you can run. But in the Linux, you don't want to install the Docker desktop. You have to install the Docker engine. Only Docker engine will work, and these CPU, RAM, and disk are particular with the help of Docker engine. Some space of CPU, RAM, and disk are allocated to the containers, and these are using. But if you want to run in your Mac OS and Windows, then you require a small Linux system. So what is Docker host? Where the Docker is running. So for the Linux systems, Docker host is Linux simply. But for the Mac OS and Windows system, Docker host is also a Linux virtual machine. If you install the Docker desktop, then a tiny virtual machine, that is the Linux virtual machine, that is also installed with the help with the Docker desktop in your system. So what is Docker host? Because why this tiny virtual machine is required for running the Docker? Because the Linux feature is called namespace. Is with the help of using this namespace strategy, we can allocate a particular size to the particular container, because this property works as a dividation and segregate the resources for a particular container and the particular users. And this property is not in the Windows. Okay, so just we move forward. So these are containers. I tell you that these containers are containing process. And if you want to limit resources for a particular process, then you use C groups. With the help of C groups, you can limit. So namespace in Linux allows isolation. I tell you that it allocates a particular isolation to the process, the requirement. This isolation is the feature of namespace in the Linux. That why we use the tiny operating system of virtual machine, like that is the Docker host to run all this. So these are the components of Docker client. What is Docker client? Docker client, if I run on the my command line and just I write Docker, then my client is active. And Docker host, where like the Docker host where the operating system, where the Docker is running. Okay, so Docker server, what is Docker server? Docker server is nothing but a Docker daemon, where like I write the Docker on my command line, then the Docker client is active and the request goes to the Docker server. If I run a particular service on my laptop, on my Docker, like I have to run a particular container on my device, then just I write Docker run /it and like the image name. Then this request goes to the Docker daemon portion. Docker daemon checks, is this image is available on your cache or not? If the image is not available on your cache, I tell you about Docker Hub, where the multiple repositories, registries are present. Then the Docker daemon request to the Docker daemon, Docker Hub portion, and the request comes from Docker Hub portion, and the image is stored on my device. And after that, we will using. So what is Docker image? Docker image is nothing but a set of files. What is Docker container? Docker container is based on some images. A particular resources of images is allocated by Docker container. Docker repository, where we can, Docker repository is nothing but a Docker images. We make our repositories and we store on the Docker Hub portion. That is the Docker repository, and we store in the Docker registry portion. Okay, so just we move forward after after stopping the Docker. Okay, so if you want some practical implementation, give me a second. I will also go through the practical implementation of that. So just I write CMD here. If you write Docker, so here a client is active. Okay, so client is active this time, but if I write the Docker version, so here you can see only client side is there. Error during connect, this server may indicate Docker daemon is not running, because I am not running this time my Docker server. Okay, so if I run, I click on here. So here you can see starting the Docker engine, because every in like in every Windows or a Mac OS machine, there is a tiny virtual Linux machine, and inside that Linux machine, this desktop is there. So here, this is the interface of Docker desktop. So if I am here, just command line, and just I write Docker version here. So here you can write a server and a client both. Here you can only see a client, but here you can see a client and server both. So cloud integration, this desktop version is this, API version is this, Go. Actually, the client and the server both are made of Golang language. Actually, basics of Golang language is covered in our channel also. We are covered the Golang in the starting phase of our source content. Okay, so git commit, actually all these are the git commits, and this is the particular hash value of that commit built in this, and operating system is this. But here you can see, give me a second. Okay, so here you can see the server side. Okay, so here the server, the operating system, what is there? That is the Linux part. So Docker server is running on the only on the Linux portion. You can't run the Docker server on your Windows portion. Docker client is whatever the operating system, but where the Docker installed, and if you want to communicate with the Docker, then the Linux machine that is installed with the help of only you in the Mac OS, you just install the Docker desktop. The tiny machine is already installed there. So just I write the Docker run /it busybox. So here you can see hash and this. So if you want to know like, so here is a particular IP address. This IP address is particular of my virtual machine. That is the Linux virtual machine. We can call it the Docker host. This is not IP address of my device or any other thing. This is the IP address of my virtual machine that is already installed my desktop. So just I'm moving forward on my presentation because we are on the 15th slide and I have approximately 45 slides. So I just cover it fastly. If you have any doubt, then you can ask me. Otherwise, I'm moving forward. Okay, so after stopping the Docker engine, unable to get data. Okay, if you see that clearly, if I doesn't open my Docker desktop on my device, then only client is there. Okay, this client is there, not the server portion is there. So Docker server, what is the there in the Docker server? This is basically divided on the three components. That is the container D, runc, and Docker init. Some special features. So Docker container D is responsible for making containers at high level. So runc is it works in closely with the Linux kernel and allocate the resources to containers and at small levels it interact with the Docker containers also. Docker init is responsible to create a Docker. Okay, to start a Docker. So
I have one doubt.
okay, what is the doubt of yours?
Uh, so where do we install these Docker servers?
Docker server. Actually, Vedant,
Yes.
you have to go on the portion in the YouTube and search like Docker about Dockers. Then you understand what only download the Docker, okay, on your device. Downloading portion I doesn't
Okay.
cover, but you go
Okay.
you will go any video and you simply install the Docker, okay, on your desktop. So just the server is divided on the three components: container D, runc, and Docker init. What is Docker init done? Docker init just start your Docker desktop. Runc, it basically allocates the resources to your containers. Container D, what is the container D done? Container D is responsible for making containers at high level, okay. So whatever the what the means of high level? High level means if you want to allocate the maximum resources to your containers, then use this component of Docker server. Docker server here you can see only the three components, okay. But there is a single component which also okay. So there is a single component which also there that's called the Docker daemon for responding to the Docker client, managing the containers, runc command, and all these. These are the particular specialized features. But one of the specialized features, like here, you can see it is basically set of processes. One of the process of Docker is Docker daemon. So Docker server, okay. So one of the possible component of Docker server is Docker daemon also. So just I move forward. Docker host, I explain it in the big terms. What is Docker host? Docker host in my second lecture to first lecture, I explain it all. Yeah. So for your Windows operating system, the Linux operating system is the Docker host for your Docker desktop. Okay. Whenever you run, wherever you run the Docker, a must required operating system, that is the Linux operating system. If you want to use the Mac OS and on all the other operating systems, if the operating system is based on your directly on Linux like Ubuntu type, then just you install the Docker engine. Otherwise, you have to install firstly the Linux virtual machine, then use the Docker container. Otherwise, you just install the Docker desktop. Both of things that are simultaneously downloaded. So this is the command. If you write this config, so your device, you get to know about Linux kernel and its host. So Docker images, many containers are based on the Docker images. Okay. With the help of this command, run a container. Docker run it busybox, Docker ps, Docker run dit busybox. So it whatever with the help of this command you can run. With the help of this command you get to know about the status, which commands which containers are in the running phase with because point with the help of this command you can also run it in the background. If you want to run it on the background, then you use Docker run dit busybox. Here is the container id, image id. all things I discussed in my previous sessions also. Yeah, if you want to get in detail, then just go with this. Okay, just I move forward. Whatever required Docker client server communication. So if you write Docker run on your command line, then the request goes to the Docker daemon. Docker daemon checks whether the image is present on your Docker server or not. If the image not present on your Docker server, then the request goes to the remote registry. What is remote registry here? That is the Docker hub portion. And after that, the image particular downloaded on the image section, and then the container is using. Okay, so there are some key points. Each container has its own IP address. Each container has new file system layers. Actually, Vedant, if you read the operating system qualities, and the 5th chapter, disk management is there, file system management is also there. So actually, the semester question is also based on file system management. So if the file
Yes, yes.
system management is not there in your operating system, you are wasting a lot of amount. Okay, so just escape it. This covers a broad portion of operating system. I don't have a much time to cover all of this. So each container has its at least one process for the existence of container. One process is there. Multiple processes are managed by Docker engine. That all the stuffs here. These are okay. So give me. These are the basic commands. These are the management commands, and these are the basic commands. So whatever like images, Docker images list, the Docker images, whatever the images present on your local cache, port is nothing but a port number. Actually, Vedant, I am not too much fast. Please give me my speed is good or not.
Yes, it is compatible.
Yes, you can understand now what I am trying to say.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so these are the basic commands. Like if you write the Docker images, this will list all the images present on your local device. Docker port, so it will point to the particular port which is present. Docker import, Docker PS list the containers which are running. Inspect, push, pull, kill. Kill basically stops the your what container. Rename container. RM is basically this command is used to remove a particular container. RMI is basically used to remove your particular image. Management commands configure. If configure is you see in later slides like here. If config is used to to get the details of the Docker host there. So secret service tag. So these all are the things. Okay, so Docker management command also sub commands. So if you want to like here, I just explain it here. So firstly, I have exit from this operating system. So just I write Docker. Okay, and just enter it. So here you can see the list of all commands, swarm commands, management commands, and all that. So just I use the Docker here, and I just write Docker PS // help. So here you can get the option /a, so all containers /f. Some of containers are off, like stopped. This /a option shows all the containers which are present in your Docker desktop. So these are the some small commands. With the help of this Docker PS help, you can get to know about that. So just I moving forward. So alternative commands, Docker container, ls Docker PS. These are two same commands. If you want to like go with the implementation part, give me a second. Actually, all of the stuffs with in detail I cover in my previous sessions. So if you want to, so here a list, because nothing, no image on running my device. So this shows nothing, but just I write Docker container ls. This also showing the same thing because these are the equivalent commands. So these are alternative commands: builder build, Docker container inspect, container commit, container run and run. So these are all are equivalent, we can say. Okay. So I have a less time, so just I cover it fastly. Okay. Container commands: Docker run, Docker stop, Docker kill, the explanation is also there. Start container, stop container, kill container, remove container. You can't like if you can't remove the running container, so firstly stop it and then remove it. PS list of containers that are running. PS/A that gives the list of stop container also. Docker pull download an image, Docker images, list of images, Docker remove. Okay, all the steps are covered. So a special command, what is Docker container preview? This is a special command. With the help of this single command, you can remove all the containers which are present on your Docker desktop. So just moving forward, what is dangling images? Can anyone know what is dangling images? Vedant?
Images without tags.
Oh, that's the good one. You see the presentation, then you tell me. Okay. So dangling images are those images which are on my device, my local cache, but that image is not present in your Docker Hub portion. There an image is missing, but in my local cache, that image is present. So that is called dangling images. Okay, just I move forward. Okay. So pulling images, I explained that images contain a file system layers. Read-only files, multiple file system layers, images could be stored in the private and public repositories, could be copied, deleted, moved. There are official and community images, Docker repositories, the set of images with versions. Every image is just a set of files. I explain all of the steps if you are. Questions: what are the container printed inside the message? What is this? Okay. Why container has printed this message? Okay. You want to see this message? What is this message? Here, just give me. I have run. Then you see what is Docker. Just I write run only. Okay, okay. I have to like firstly install the image. Okay, so just give me a second. Docker run. Firstly, I think some images are present on my device. That is the wrong command. Okay, some busy box is there. So if I write the Docker run busy box. So this is running. If I write the Docker, yes. Okay, I think actually I know that some problem is there with this image. So just I write in the detached mode. So has value generated this time if you write Docker PS, then our image is running. Okay, so the image is in on the running portion. So if you give me a second. Okay, so why contain? If you want to see what are these are the steps. Actually, if you run some particular commands here, I think give me a second. Docker run image a particular container is running. Give me a second. Hmm. Actually, this is already running now, so this container is not running. This search is about the images, but I don't give the images name. I just give the address of my container because the container is running. This can't perform. This command is not performed. Okay, so just I move forward. So what is CMD? All the stuff, the commands for this executes and Docker inspect image ID format. All those steps I covered it also. So if you are running a container, the container also requires some size, and this size is in your Linux kernel inside your small tiny Linux operating virtual machine, and inside that the disk space like image in this image not okay container fs layers is there. So if a particular container is running, the process and the data which are required for that container is stored on the disk portion. What is port mapping? Like if I want to use a particular port for running a particular application, and if I want to use the nginx, okay, nginx, and that nginx is also want to communicate with other browsers, so just I use the port mapping. Okay, so here I think this is a basic command for running your nginx image on your device. Okay, nginx container is created. After that, you can write the simple command. If you go with the implementation part, actually I don't have time, so you go on the particular video portion. On that video portion I have covered it, how to be done the port mapping there. Okay, so just I move here, delete command, and how you can delete container. I also performed like environment variables. I give the much detail about all these stuffs in my previous sessions. So just you will go with there and you will get to know about all that. So thank you all. And I tried much about to explain, because this is a very small session and I have to explain much deeper about that. So in this small session, that is difficult to deliver much content, but whatever I think I delivered, that is required. If you want to go with me and if you want to complete the Docker till basic to advanced, you like I completed also the Git portion. If you want to complete it the Docker basics to advanced, then go with me and revise all the previous steps which I have telling. In the next session I will go to the volume to volume concept. In your Docker container a particular volume, in your operating system a particular volume is there. So volume to volume of folder to folder concept I discussed in my next presentation. I also post this presentation in my, like in a group where you all are there. Okay, so thank you all. Thank you from my side.
So, Rudransh, am I audible?
Yes, continue your presentation.
Okay. Okay. So, good evening, everyone. In the last session, I had discussed about the I was in the last some of the sessions that I was discussing about the JavaScript. So JavaScript was mainly the part of some 2 3 months we have covered about JavaScript. We talked about JavaScript. Then I also gave you the theoretical and practical implementation of APIs also. So that was a very small part that we had covered, because for JavaScript is such a kind of a basic part, and I think that you people might like that JavaScript part. So in today onwards, we are starting with a new set of concept, and this concept is very interesting. And while you're not interfering with this concept, so you are not able to call as a full stack developer. So JavaScript was just a basic part. So as we took a break, and after a long break, we are starting with a new set of concept. This concept is mainly known as Node.js. So Node.js is it's a very popular concept, and it's not a very new concept. Everyone knows it's a very traditional kind of a concept. Okay, nowadays we have many things apart from Node.js. Also, we have many runtime environments. We have different runtime environments. But but Node.js, why it is essential to study Node.js? See, actually, Node.js is something that provides you the deep understanding how the JavaScript is running inside your server. So until and unless you are not implementing Node.js, you will not be able to run any kind of a website. So this is an importance of Node.js. So Node.js is technically it is very important. And what are the consequences and what are the causes that Node.js has? See, let me make it clear. Actually, what happens when you are if you are a developer and you have created any front-end development, a front-end program, or a front-end slice. You have implemented some UI, UX also. So you have created a very good designer model using CSS and all those things. But then you want to run your make it as a, you can say responsive for interactive. For interactive, you have to use it. Then what will you do? So what do you mean by an interaction? For example, if I'm interacting to you from this Zoom meeting, so what is an interaction? You're interacting with me. I can also play it on a YouTube, but there you cannot interact with me directly. So here you're interacting with me directly. So it is a basically concept of a client and a server. There is one client and there is one server also. Okay, this is a very theoretical information. I'm not right now. I'm not giving you much about practical implementation, because this today is a very basic part. So I just wanted you to make you make you understand the concept. Although I haven't made any kind of a notes of like these things, because it's a theoretical concept. You can so if you will be understanding my words, and you can you can cross question me also. So you will be you can understand it very clearly. It doesn't have a very big deal. So being a beginner, you should understand that what are you studying, so and how much it is important to you. Okay, so what is a Node.js? So Node.js is it is a JavaScript runtime environment. You can say. For example, let me take you one example. Example of if you know about React.js. What is a React.js? React.js is a concept, or React.js is a, we can say, library. People say that React.js is a library and all those things. But React.js is a thing. When you see, if you know about React.js, well and good. If you do not have any idea about React.js and Tailwind CSS, and there are things like that, so let me please understand my words. See, React.js is something, for example, when you make any dashboard of, you have seen when you are surfing any website on internet, and you have seen an interactive dashboard. I'm talking about websites, not about web applications. So please so please differentiate both the things. So if you are using any kind of a website, and that is a very interactive website that is interacting you much. Okay, it's a very interactive website. But what happens traditionally? We used to do it with JavaScript and Node.js. Traditionally, there was a concept. First, we implement the front end part with the help of a JavaScript. Then we use a backend as a Node.js to make that website interactive. So when a user is moving to the website and logging a web page, logging its credentials, their name and user ID, password, that is the standard, you can say, mandatory thing, mandatory part. Then it is moving towards the next web page, and that web page is belonging to a certain website. So and that websites you have some, for example, there is a healthcare system, or there is any you can say there are many websites. For example, shadi.com, that the website of Anubhav Mittal. He started shadi.com in 90s. So there, the shadi.com was a concept of matrimonial website, because for the people used to do it manually. Because then there was internet, and then we used to do it with, you will say, with the help of online with internet. So then there the user is registering itself. So it's a very simple concept. It's a concept of a web development that made Anupam Mittal and made you can say many big you can say entrepreneurs very on a large scale. They made it a large scale entrepreneurs. So what happened? There was okay, the cardeko.com by, you can say, Mr. Anup Jain. So so what they did? They just created a simple website. Okay, that time when previously we used to do it with Node.js and JavaScript. Nowadays we use React.js, we use Vue.js, AngularJS. These are the things. So in React.js you can make an interactive dashboard. Okay, in React.js you can make an interactive dashboard. So what happens? They provide you the whole library they provide you the whole code at one place, and you're just copying. Okay, and you do not have to make you just have to set up the environment, and it is easier than implementing, because you can make it more interactive rather than using simple JavaScript and you are using the Node.js environment. Okay, but then also I'm saying that Node.js is then also it is very important in the era of React. It is not necessary that React, if we have React, so we will be implementing with React everything. In the future, the technologies will be getting more, will be vast, so will get vast. So we will have some new technologies. But in React.js, how it is working, understand the concept. So it is a very, see, these are the theoretical parts. So understand the concept. You are installing React.js. First you're not installing React.js. You are simply just for example, take any editor and most popular editor right now is Visual Studio Code. In Visual Studio Code, you open your Visual Studio Code, then you set up the environment, and then you either take the extensions or install libraries by using some npm commands. See, while you are installing libraries using npm command, but how this npm command works? It works with the help of, mark my words, with the help of that backend working, that is Node.js. So Node.js, you have to install Node.js first of all. So for my viewers, those who are interacting with me, those who are watching my session of today's session, I will be recommending them to install Node.js environment, because until and unless you're not installing Node.js, Node.js, you cannot do anything in your whole system. There's one alternative right now, those who are not having any Node.js, because I have some next slides. I also have some codes, a very basic codes that you can understand it easily. But in those websites, but in those slides, you can also, if you're not having Node.js right now, you can use an online compiler. But that online compiler is I think it's not so beneficial. It works like a JavaScript online compiler, and you are studying Node.js. So you will for getting a better understanding, if you want to do it safely, you please install Node.js. Installing Node.js is very simple. It's not a big deal. You just go to your Google Doodle and you can type there www.node.js. So you can just type in installing Node.js, and there the first click, you can just see the version, what kind of version is there, and it is a very simple process to install. It gets complicated you have to install when you have to work with React.js. See, okay, so now you can install it smoothly, and you can work it smoothly also. So I was talking about React.js. So when we are making dashboard using React.js, when we are making some when we are increasing interactivity with React.js. So what is the portion that is making React.js, you can say, alive? That is your Node.js, because React.js is a part of it. React.js is now also, it's a part of a front end. It is a JavaScript. React.js is not any, you can say, new programming language. Understand between a programming language and a library. React.js is not a programming language. It is a library of which what React is a library of JavaScript, that is popularly known as JS. Okay, so JavaScript is it's a basic. You have to learn JavaScript while knowing about previously knowing about Node, or knowing about React or Vue or Angular. But since JavaScript is a library, so you have to study about those library also. So okay, so you have to study about those library also. So what does the library means? Okay, so that library contains many topics, some many, you can say, uh, inside some programs. Okay, that is making React.js interactive or running. But at the backend part, you have to install Node.js. When you are installing Node.js, you can then it is a whole working of a terminal. For making a first React project, also you have to run the commands like terminal. Okay, so please, so Node.js is a part of again. I'm summarizing the whole concept, that Node.js is a backend language. It is a part of a backend of JavaScript, that is making JavaScript interactive. Okay, so Node.js is a backend part. Node.js is a backend part. Okay, okay. So let's move to the next slide. One thing more, when you have installed Node.js, and if you are having any doubt that my Node.js has been installed or not, or you are having doubt, you will be having doubt when you will be interacting, when you will be installing it in the future, that has it been installed, or you have the doubt that has it been installed, or what kind of version that I have installed. So for getting the information of version or getting the information of is it installed or not. Just open your command prompt. How command prompt gets opened? If you want, I can you can paste a comment, or you can ask me directly also. You can DM me, and I can even I can even prepare one slide separately for that particular thing also. But although I haven't prepared it right now because it's a very simple thing. So open your command prompt, and you can then there you can write npm and the version npm version, and you can get the version and npm installed on. You can get the whole information. So and then let's assume that I'm assuming, and I hope like you have. Let's assume that if you've installed, and if it is installed previously in your system, it's well and good. So let's move up to the next slide and see what is how is it looks. So okay, so Node.js. So if you can see, okay, it's very small, but if you can see it over there at the top, at the top bar, there's one green, you can say, logo, and there's one green logo, and there's one word as and there's and that green logo. Besides that green logo, there's one thing written that is known as Node.js. So see, Node.js has been written over there, Node.js simply, and there's one green tag also. This is a tag of Node.js. Remember it, and Node.js it is showing like that. So what is this? Please, if you have see, right, this you will be getting when you will be installing your own Node.js environment. You do not have to make any kind of a setup also. It is a simple environment. When you're installing it, it will be showing it like that on. So let's see over here. So this is Node.js. See, for example, when you're opening, see, Node.js it works like a command prompt. So what is a command prompt? Command prompt, you can see, as I was telling you that, see, command prompt is a different thing. It works like a command prompt, but command prompt is a different thing. You can use it for checking that what kind of version you have installed of Node.js. Okay, and if you're showing me the version, that means your Node.js has been installed. You can also do it with Visual Code Studio also. I will be telling you that also. Okay, let's look up this also, this slide. See, I have just maximized the whole window of Node.js. So this is a particular Node.js application that I have installed, and I'm running the whole command in that application only. So see, console.log is a printing statement of JavaScript. You know it very well. So it is it is a backend library of a JavaScript. You can call it like that also. So it doesn't have any simple any particular programming structure. It works as true as JavaScript. So console.log, and see, so what I wrote console.log, and I wrote some integer value, so 8810790610 and log and all those things simply, and it was showing like me, though that it is undefined. You can even print your name also, console.log, bracket your name. You can print console.log and any printing statement that you want to give it to the environment, and you can simply get the output like that only. So here I am getting the output as undefined. So here I'm getting the some digits, and the digits I'm getting as undefined. Okay, is there any problem? I think you should not have any problem. If you have any problem, you can ask me right now also, and after the and after the completion of the session also. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. It's a very simple thing. So I will be recommending you to install Node.js. It is a very interesting part. You just installing Node.js, writing console.log, writing, and in console.log, it's a printing statement. You can write it anything, and it will be showing like that. One thing more, for example, when you go to any web browser, and that web browser, there is any web page of that browser. So in that web page, when you're writing console.log, when you're going inspecting part, so in that inspecting part, you can there you can see everyone knows how to inspect the web page, because I told you earlier also that how to inspect a certain web page. When you're inspecting a certain web page, then there is some console elements, sources. It is the screen, that kind of a screen is coming to you. Oh, okay, I will be showing you. I will be showing you that screen also. So then there you are. I'm sorry. So there you are installing, writing that printing statement console.log, and in that console.log, you're giving any value. So it will be showing. It shows you like that undefined, and then it gives you the description of that value. So that the description of that value, it shows you that what kind of print statement and what does it indicating, and it indicates all the tools. So what kind of tools are those? I will be explaining you that tools also in the next slide. But it is a simple runtime environment. So it is a simple runtime environment of a Node.js. So we can print it like that only. Okay. So now what I did, I just simply I just switched up from Node.js to Visual Studio Code. So what kind of interactivity is that? I just simply switched my Node.js to Visual Studio Code as yes. So I was saying I just simply switched up from Node.js to Visual Studio Code as see this is a simple code editor. That is my Visual Studio Code. So if you want to use any other editor, so you can use it, right? You can use it. There's no problem, but it depends upon you that if you are that what kind of comfort you have in using. Because I'm comfortable with Visual Studio Code, so I'm using and I'm using this editor, and this is one of the most popular editor everyone knows, guys. So see, if it is not clear to you, Ridash, please tell me if the screen is clear to you. It's properly visible to you or not, so I can adjust it like that mode. Okay, I think the part this screen is clear to you. It's visible to you. Okay, so Ridash, are you there? Okay, okay.
Yes,
Let's. So the screen is visible to you.
yes. Output is Vedant Shukla.
Yes, yes. All right, all right. All good. So okay, so as the screen is visible to everyone, so you can understand it. For example, you can see one menu over there, like in the top of the screen, that has been in file Visual Studio Code symbol, and in the besides Visual Studio Code symbol, file, edit, selection, view, go. See, first of all, the very basic step that you have, just don't read what is written on the screen. Vedant Shukla console.log printing statement in the terminal. What are they showing? Do not see the output. Just first of all, understand what I'm trying to say. It's a very simple step. Many of you people know it very well. But first you have to create one folder, and that you can name that folder, and you can give it, and you can name that folder Node.js, or you can uh, for your comfort and for your point of ease, you can give it any other name according to you. It doesn't have any restriction of boundaries that you can give it any other name. Okay, so you are creating a very simple text folder in file manager, or if you do not, or you can simply open your Visual Studio Code and the file editor, and that Visual Studio Code you can even go to the file, and there you can create a and you can be getting one option of a new folder. There you can click to the new folder, and you can easily create a simple new folder. Inside that folder, so that will be your empty folder. Okay, then or if you have any problem, you can even go to your file manager. It doesn't have any problem. And other than that, you can do one thing more also. You can move it to you can move to okay, so first you have created one folder. Then while you have created one folder, inside that there will be one empty folder. Inside that empty folder, create one more folder, and again you can name it as, for example, for example, what I named that it as, I named it as Node.js. So you can name it as Node.js part 1. Okay, like that. So while you're naming it as Node.js or Node.js part 1, it doesn't consist of any problem. So an empty folder, it consists, there is one folder inside an empty folder. So folder, then, and that folder that the new folder that you had created, you can create it in your C drive also, in the D drive also, in your documents also. It doesn't have any problem. Then after creating that folder, then you can create one new file also. You can create one new file also in that specific folder. Okay, you can create one new file, and you can name it as name.js. See why I named it as name.js, because the name.js is a name of a file. It is a name of a JavaScript file. Okay, name.js is a name of a JavaScript file. So name.js, you can name it according to you. For example, your name is ABC. You can name it as abc.js, xyz.js, or pqr.js, or hyl.js. Any alphabet, any name, any particular name, you can take it as it is depends upon you. Okay, it is totally depend upon you. You are free to name it as any name. Okay, you would add any name. So what will happen? My JavaScript file will be, you can say, my JavaScript file will get created. And while my JavaScript file will get created, it will be showing that, you can say, the file, you can say welcome. Besides welcome, it is written JavaScript. So it looks like that, and name.js, it is my file has been created. So very smoothly, your file get created. Now the one most important thing is, first of all, okay, now you can see this printing statement that has been written over there in console.log. So that is a code, that is a printing statement of your code, console.log. Inside it, you say, I wrote my name Vedant Shukla. You can it's a printing statement in your code. So in coding, this is always a printing statement in JavaScript. You can use it very well. Nothing to worry about. So you can write it as console.log inside it Vedant Shukla, and so and console.log Vedant Shukla. So now if because it is a JavaScript, so when you can see that one running button over there. So you can see one running button over there. Besides, like, see, this is the running button, or to put in your code in your Visual Studio Code. Okay, so when you will be running your code in your Visual Studio Code, so there you can give conceptually, you will be getting a simple output, a very simple and clear output, a crystal clear output as Vedant Shukla. See, because I am teaching right now about Node.js, so I haven't took that output of JavaScript. So I am sorry for that, but because I think it doesn't need. Because many of you are aware of those things, and I just want to clear upon the basics, talk upon the basics, and if someone has zero knowledge also, it can start from zero scratch to advanced. Okay, so no problem over there. And for example, it is, if the situation is like that, so then also I can be in the next section, I can bring you up that particular code also. You can DM me or you can comment me personally or directly. So you can, when you're clicking on that running button, you will be getting some extending output as Vedant Shukla, and that seconds, and it will be also showing that execution of time, that time execution, that is very most important in Visual Studio Code, for 0.08 seconds, or depends upon the complexity of the code and complexity of your logic and your program. So no, there's no problem. So, but now specifically we're talking about Node.js. So, and at Node.js, what happens? So at Node.js, what happens? So Node.js basically is conceptually, Node.js doesn't works like that. Node.js has its different criteria. As I told you, when you are using React.js, when you are making projects on React.js, you have the Node.js is permanently installed. So when you are deploying your first React project, that is a
Vedant,
React basic
only
React.
9 minutes
Yes,
left. Cover it in nine
yes,
minutes.
I can. Yes. So I'm okay. I can do it right now. I will do it. Okay. In shortage because we are running shortage of time, which is as we are saying. So let me clear you upon the thing that in React.js, when you are running up your code, React.js installs the whole libraries, the whole execution, and when you are moving towards its terminal part, its its ter- its terminal part, what does the what does the terminal part provides you? Its terminal part has the concept. So its terminal part has that kind of a concept that it provides you. Yes, so its terminal part uses the concept, for example, of npm running start. So while so with that are the the important or the specific those you can say programs has been installed in your in your React environment that is necessary to execute at the time of Node.js. Okay, at the time of your React logo, because I'm talking about React right now. So when you're writing npm start, so it is installing all those important execution programs and it is deploying your React project. So in a similar manner, Java, this is because we are talking a very basic part. It's a very simple and basic part. So because I'm just giving you an example that you can relate it and makes you interesting at how we are using real time environment or we are using real time applications in Java and Node.js. So in Node.js, what is specific? You cannot run it directly with the help of your running button. You in here you use terminal. So terminal is very important. So what is that terminal actually for implement for that terminal? There is one shortcut key. You just press Control plus keyboard on Control plus on your keyboard, and you will be see you can see like that. This kind of terminal will get open. This kind of terminal will get open towards to your code editor very smoothly. If you not understand that thing right, then also you can do it one thing. You can see some three dots over there. You can do it those three dots in your terminal also. I like that also. So okay, that is a different part. You please do it on your own. If you're not understanding that particular part, I'm always there to help you, and you can reach out to me or comment it to me. Okay, so that is a simple approach. So what is the you can say, but then also then also uh, at terminal what it is showing, it is showing ps at c drive the user's acer documents underscore ps, that is my personal computer, and in the at a c drive and backslash n users and backslash n acer backslash n documents backslash n node.js 01 backslashes backslash and backslash node.js part 1, and it is enclosing with will have a help of a closing tag and closing tag. So see, this much of part has been you can say it would be pre-written on your terminal. But what you have to do, you just have to write node, because you are using node.js environment, and write it in a small part. Okay, so you have to write node and the name of your file, JavaScript file. For example, my JavaScript file was named as name.js because I was printing my name, so I wrote it like I just named it as name.js, and it was like Vedant Shukla. So it would be showing my output like that. And even you're not writing name.js, you can write it as just a simple name. So then also it will be showing us Vedant Shukla. Okay, no problem. So there's no problem. So this is some pre-written pre-written file name, users, Acer, that what my system I'm using my file, and Node.js, the environment that I'm using my Node.js environment. Okay, and then I'm using my file name, so I'm using my file name also. So this is the way to implement or to execute a simple program in Node.js environment. Okay, so it's a very basic, although it's a one-line code, but I'm elaborating more to make it clear that how it works, because we are studying Node.js first time. So you just simply open your terminal. There you write the name of the file, and it will be showing you the whole. You're showing the output. And unlike in JavaScript, if you use the button of the simple button to execute the program. So that will be the terminal output like that. So here you can get the certain execution of program or an out. If you have any problem, you can ask me. No problem. Again and again. So okay. Then what I in the second statement you can say, after printing my name, I was printing window. So I was printing window. So what does window represents? So see, I printed console.log window, but what at my terminal it was showing me a reference type error. So window is not defined, object anonymous, module at module 1 compile module underscore extension.js, module underscore load linker, and function underscore execution entry point. So why it and so this is it's a very internal concept, that why it is showing like that. So why it is showing that like that to me? It is showing like, because see, when you are inspecting in your web page in your web browser, when you are writing the printing statement console.log window, then you will be getting the whole output as simple as you can get. And please, you can do it right now also. It's very simple. Go to any web page in your browser, or simple Chrome browser also. You can just go and inspect the part and console, and you write select console.log window, you will be getting the whole
Vedant, 3
statement.
minutes left.
And you can also write okay. So you will be getting the full statement. So Revans, actually this part is very important, so I'm taking more time. After that, the things are very easy and simple to understand. Okay, so console.log window. So that in the at that window part, you can see and there it is working. It is not showing any error, but it is here is showing refresh error. Refresh error, it comes when something's not defined. Okay, so I will be telling you the reason. So Rudra, this is the last part. Okay, so this is the last part of the code. You can add. So this is my Chrome page. Add Chrome, or you can do it on any simple web page at your web browser. So at console, it is showing like that only, like that. YT loading, event listener, all the parts it is showing. So what is that? So what is that particular thing? That means, see, Node.js uses weird engine. See, it uses Chrome weird engine. But here, what happened? Some many things have been filtered out, and some many things have been filtered in. So Node.js has kept those things that is necessary to it. So, but it has been, but it just eradicated the part that is not required in your that is not required in the server. For example, there are many DOM parts are even that alert, even listener, blur. It has eradicated those parts, because that part, because window is a part of browser object model and document object model. So it thought that it is were unnecessary parts. So to not create hustle and bustle, it has removed all those parts. So in browser it will be running, but in Node.js environment, it will be showing you a simple error, reference error. That is something is not defined, because because it is an interface between client server and a client and a server. Okay, so see, like it is JavaScript is a traditional in a let's if I tell you the traditional concept, JavaScript uses a client server. Okay, but uses a client server client, but Node.js uses a server. Uh, you can say you can say user server or a developer server. So at that point of view, for example, if you are a developer, you will be writing that parts of code that are necessary to it. Do not create your code editor. Do not create your code editor in such a hustle and bustle. So that is a simple concept. Node is also using the environment that uses more. You can say compatibility to this is the compatibility. It has been eradicated the DOM elements. So you can say these are the DOM elements that has been eradicated by, you can say, Node.js. So that was the pure concept. So in future, in the session, we will be talking more about it. So as we are in shortage of time, so I so yeah, so Rudra, am I audible?
Yes.
So I was telling you about one output finding questions that is most popular in your some coding rounds also. See, there is one that is there is one empty you can say one there is one empty array. There is one variable that has been initialized, and two variables those are initialized, and those are, and representing an a kind of a box. So these square brackets are called as arrays. So we can simply, and you can say nothing has been written over there or initialized over there. So you can say it like that. So we have two empty arrays, empty array 1 and empty array 2 for x and y. So okay, and they have been there's one operator that is concatenation operator. It is known as concatenation operator that you mostly call as a plus symbol. And JavaScript it is known as a concatenation operator, and it has been stored inside Z. So okay, and Z is also another variable that has been initialized. So so what kind of output it is asking at what kind of output you can get. So if you have any idea, so I'm giving you some few seconds. You can you can guess it right now. This console.log type of Z is a printing statement. So what kind of output you can get? Okay, can I speak? Okay, so if you do not have any idea, I can tell you it's very simple. You can get the output as string. Yes, output you will be getting a string, a simple string, because you see, it is using one type of operator. Type of is a particular operator. So this the type of is an operator that uses it represents what kind of variable it is. It is undefined. It is string. It is variable. It's a number. Okay. So type of it will be representing string because that is a string. How it is a string? Because x is an empty array, y is an empty array. So when two empty arrays have been concatenated, it is a key concept. Remember it that they will be resulting in as an output as string. They will be getting output as a string, because what happens in JavaScript has this tendency to of implicit type conversion. Okay, in the next slide also you can in question and answer you can get that particular question of implicit type conversion, and it is very important. So what JavaScript does it just converted implicitly automatically, or can say simple language, it converts automatically a certain string, a certain an empty array to a string. So string plus string has been concatenated as uh, as uh, uh, you can say as one more empty array. So it will be concatenated as string. So type of operator will be representing you Z as string. So although I've completed with my session, so there's one new question that I wanted to tell you about implicit type cohesion. In the second last question that I this is the implicit this is an example of implicit type cohesion. So what is an NaN? Not a number, NaN not a number, pass by value. Pass by value you can declare it at one time. Pass by reference you can declare it outside and inside both. The things JavaScript always is a dynamically typed language, and in debugger we use to debug some important properties in JavaScript. Prototype change is an example of object-oriented programming. Hosting is a part of BRLet, and double equals to triple equals to again is an example of implicit and explicit conversion. For finding maximum number and for calculating sum of two numbers, we're using max function in JavaScript. For example, you just create one function as action. You create one any function, and there you can just use that concept of using a function x comma y. Then you use z is equal to x plus y, like that. And for the finding maximum number, you can use the max function. So you can import import a math function for finding all those things. So although I have completed up with my session, if you have any question and answers, you can please ask me, or you can comment at me if you want. Thank you so much for interacting with me.